A person who controls use for 5 years doesn't have to buy the property, doesn't care about the selling price later, and has a limited amount of time to squeeze everything they can out of it. So that's Tim Walz's big geography computer mission, is to understand land use. And what happens when a lefty politician starts talking about land use? There goes your private home. There goes your ability to buy a spot on a lake and build a cabin. There goes your ability to fish in a lake.
No more lake homes, dude. We live in Minnesota. Saying Tim Walz is taking away lake homes.
I have more standing to talk about the potential loss of your ability to own a home on a lake than Tim Walz has to talk about anything, because it's a logical extrapolation of the way they do things. The canary in the coal mine died 30 years ago with the smoking ban. Once they can tell you that you can't let your customers smoke in your bar, you don't own anything. Nobody in this state owns anything. The government controls the use of every, and he even says it, down to the square meter. He wants the government to be completely aware how every square meter of land is being used and its exact purpose at every moment in time for all time. Does that sound like you're going to be able to enjoy your property the way you want?
That's geography, man.
Geography, yeah.
He's going to know where every single square is on the map.
So under control of use, the protection of land is completely abandoned and you own nothing. Then like the sun through the clouds after a thunderstorm. Now we're gonna talk about some indigenous tribes, yo. I don't even know why he mentioned it. It's not relevant to anything. What does an indigenous tribe have to do with geography? Who cares? Another pull on the heartstring of the dum-dum. Oh, he mentioned indigenous tribes.
He cares a lot.
Anybody who doesn't like Tim Walz must be racist. And that's the game. That's the game. Trigger word, super Pavlovian, go look in your food dish and then scream at somebody for being a racist. Next bullet point. What's the future? What makes up the future? What's their favorite thing to say? Blank is the...
Our kids.
Ding, 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 ding. Children are the future. That's why they need to be transitioned and sterilized. Obviously, children are the future.
Man.
So if you live in
let's
Texas...
put tampons in the boys' bathroom.
Yep, tampons in the boys' bathroom for the children. Infinite genders, even though you want to talk about transgender, which would require that you change from one to the other, even though gender is just a cover up for sex. And, I haven't heard anybody actually recall back to this. I'm fairly certain that the word gender, part of it's like common parlance today, has to do with a bunch of uppity, moralizing women's groups who didn't want to see the word sex on government forms anymore. So they changed it to gender. Didn't have anything to do with gender fluidity or any of this other nonsense. It was the substitution of a word so they didn't have to see the word sex. I mean, talk about ding dong. All right. And he bragged about Minnesota's tax code being the most progressive in the country.
Yep. If you make more, you pay more.
You make more, you pay more. That's absolutely correct.
That will really get the middle class going.
Now, talk about the claims. Listen to the claims that he makes. Quote, it lets us lower childhood poverty and uninsured rates. And what does the campaign for more welfare and more spending on health insurance for people, does it ever stop? So it doesn't matter how much they get, it's still going to be the same campaign. Number go up. It's the most infinitely stupid philosophy ever created, and yet they want you to buy in because of how you feel about it.
Have the rich guys pay for the poor kids' meals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with that.
You know what you never hear, though? You never hear, how are you ever going to transition? How are you ever going to get people to take care of themselves absent your legal theft and everything else you have to do? Continue feeding them benefits that actually make them incompetent adults. There's no recovering from it. You can't just keep spending more and more and more and more and more and say we have to spend more and more and more and more because there are more and more and more and more poor people, more and more and more and more incompetent people, and we got to take care of more and more and more and more illegal immigrants, and it's just more and more and more and more and more. And it's always this number go up, and they never take account of the fact that there is actually a limit to the more, and the law of diminishing returns starts decreasing the amount of actual productivity taking place far before you ever get to the limit of more. That's why our average per capita income is below the national average. It's why our student achievement is now below the national average. All of these measures are now following behind the national average because of the state's orientation to these policies.
I'm not against paying more in taxes so some poor kid can
You
eat,
should be.
but there should be a plan, as you said, for when they get older for them to survive on their own 2 feet. Because I think what's going on here is they put them on this welfare pump at such an early age, they can't ever get off it when they actually become an adult.
Exactly. And that's why there shouldn't be any of it.
And it should be the government's job where if you need help, the government should be able to provide that help to make you the best person you can be to contribute to society.
No.
I think so. That's just my belief. I believe like as government, a part of government's their job is to make us better. So if someone needs a little extra, if someone needs a little extra help with math or reading, we should support extra funding. We should do whatever we can to help those kids.
That's not how anything actually works. First, the we is illegitimate because not everybody supports it. So saying we is stupid.
That's fine. I don't want to get into little semantics games.
But I have an alternative for you. Let's say all the money that the state government spends on all of this support and welfare were left in the hands of the people that earned it. Let's say that the state government doesn't tax that away from the people who earn it. How much of it do you think would actually need to be spent to take care of those people who need the help?
I don't know.
Half?
Taxes that we're currently paying?
Yeah, what I'm trying to get at here is that the amount of money that gets washed through the money laundering of the state is far greater than the actual need. So why do we pay it?
So we already have the funding, is what you're saying.
At churches and local groups took care of all of this stuff in the past. But then they started demonizing the church and getting prayer out of schools and promoting women being whores. And they basically just started eating away at the actual foundations of society. So we can solve all the problems. Vote for us. It's Tammany Hall with technology. There's no reason why these amounts of money should be spent on any of this stuff. It's not necessary. You go out to California and you look at the way they've spent money in the name of the homeless crisis.
And how many people are still homeless?
You're looking at numbers where it's verging on millions per person being spent.
Yeah, people in Cali got too much.
Well, if
money,
you had just given every homeless person in California $1 million 20 years ago and called it a day, just imagine where California would be now. If they had just done a one-time payout, close the door, and you people take care of it yourself, California would probably be the second biggest economy on earth behind the country as a whole and have 100 million people in it.